Om Shanti everyone. Welcome to the session on resilience. So let's take 1 minute, tap onto our inner silence and bring our focus onto resilience. It's not just a value, it's a power we all hold within. Resilience, power to go through life gracefully, dealing with every situation with clarity and power. So let's ask ourselves, how much are we aware about this value, this power within us? And how much do we use it in our life, in our daily actions? So today, we are in a journey to deeply understand resilience and take it with us, to use it more consciously in our actions. So let's take a deep breath in and out as we prepare for this journey of us with resilience. Thank you everyone for joining in. So today, mostly it is myself and facilitating along with Shruti, who is joining from US. I hope she's there. Let me see, she can, yeah. So myself and Shruti will take you through this journey of resilience. So welcome once again. And let's start as always with the icebreaker, just to bring that little thought more deeply into the value of resilience. So we'll start with a video. And as you all know, we have been doing this values workshop since 2020 December. So many values we have covered. Today we are doing 47th hour or value or episode, resilience today. So we'll start with the icebreaker. Let's watch a video and how it will play out for us, or what would it bring to your mind and heart. So let's share quickly in the chat box app. Because it was writing anticipate, prepare, organize, and prepare. Beautiful video. So what was the thought came to your mind? Anyone who likes to put it in the chat, please? This is a chat box sharing. So I'm sure many thoughts came to all of your mind. So what is the video created in your heart? Melanie says cooperation. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? Yes. Yeah, Shruti says, keep moving forward no matter what the circumstance. Renata says, adaptability. Yes, adaptation again. Manuel brother says, survival instinct. To do something, we need help and transformation. The rock had to change in order to move through the situation. So transformation, self-transformation actually. So Balvinder says, I can sharpen myself from all sides for uplifting myself higher and higher. Yeah, Sylvie says, in Portuguese or Spanish, I can't read. Linda says, discernment. Yeah, discernment is necessary to be resilient. Brijpal Bhai says, be flexible, be humble. Renata says again, the light is always there, even when we don't see it. So having that faith, trust, knowing the solution is there, knowing that I can endure through. BK Dennis says, thinking about my life and the periods when life was very difficult, getting through and trying again, keeping on going. Melanie again says, the power to accommodate. Gita says, adaptive and cooperation. Right, so see so many, like clarity about resilience means so many of these values to use to move on. So I think the translation has come from French, keep courage, find solution, sustain others in their core needs, become an obstacle destroyer, flexibility and having hope, Harpreet. So many values. So that's very, very, very good start. Brother Deepak is there. He's noting down all this, and you'll be receiving in the review material of today's session later on. So now, with this good start, a good focus on resilience, let's start with the next one. So our first exercise, as we always do, the very first exercise is looking into our own life and finding, the resilience, how is it present in our life? So the question would be reflecting on a person in my life who is a resilient person. It can be somebody who is a political figure, a spiritual figure, or a close relative or family member or friend or colleague. Who comes to your mind who is a resilient person? And write down the qualities that you see in them. And so you are seeing them today as a resilient person. You are able to recognize them as a resilient person. So what are the qualities? We named quite a few just now, but what are the qualities specifically you see in that one person who's coming to your mind, who is a resilient person who exists in your life? So we'll just take 1 minute to reflect through, and then we'll come to sharing. Okay, so I'm sure you could see a resilient person who exists in your life, and what are the qualities particularly you saw in that person? Anyone who would like to share? You can unmute and share, please. I know on the chat is great, but some people can share. The best important part of this workshop is to share through our words, our energy, our story to inspire each other. So Manuel brother says caring helps, but also teaches, who is loving. So anyone who would like to share, you can say who it is, just name it, the relation or the name, and tell what are the resilient qualities you see in them.
I'm Carol. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Today, there's been, or the last few days, there's been an enormous event in British history. Queen Elizabeth died 2 days ago, and everything that's being shared and expressed about her are all about the values of intelligent adaptability, keeping up with the times, using compassion at times of catastrophe, hugely moving tributes. And there couldn't be a better epitome of resilience and flexibility than Queen Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing this. Actually, we all know Queen Elizabeth has passed away and what she has left behind for us. Definitely, as you said, the power of intelligence, endurance, and the goodness that she shared or showed us to keep in our society or with us. Thank you so much. She's a great example. Anyone else?
Hello.
Yes, Geet.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
The person who came to my mind is not one, but several people whom I have seen over the period of time, either giving leadership or giving family sort of direction. So the qualities which stand by them is humility is the first quality. And then ability, professional ability or emotional ability to get along in circumstances, leadership qualities, then sticking to basic timeless values of life. If you stick to the basic fundamentals, then life also supports you, the entire, cosmos supports you. Then giving results, whatever you had been trying to do through that, you get results in that. So these are few things which I noted along for the successful, resilient people.
Thank you so much, Geeta. Thank you. I think that's great. Yeah, you summarized it very well. And we will be seeing that again as we are putting it together. More specifically, we want in this exercise, if you can bring up one person whom you know or who has inspired you to that level, who has shown resilience. But of course, a few people came to your mind and you have written down, and the leadership qualities and the balance. So that's great. Thank you, Geeta. I think I'll read a few from the chat box. Somebody says, if a person knows what to do, where to do, where to stop, and also knows sharing, that's resilience. But then who is that in your life who is very close to that and share with you? Yes, Brijpal Bhai, go ahead, please.
I have seen Dr. Karan Singh, a well-known personality. He is so humble and he has shown so much humility. He is so much learned that he has taken on only the positive qualities of one and all. So he has won the appreciation for all the groups. And he is really a God-fearing man. So I like him and love him so much.
Dr.
Thank you.
Karan Singh, you said?
Yes, yes.
Very
Very
nice,
humble,
very humble.
great
you-
man.
Mhm.
Only thinks positive for everyone. And so he has won the appreciation for all.
Yeah, beautiful. See, humility and positive only for others and great appreciation. What a beautiful combination. Thank you. Thank you, Brijpal.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to share? Somebody says, yes, Queen Elizabeth II, she was one in her mind too. And believe in the self and keep the aim that everything is possible is a quality of resilience. So you can share. Yes, Harpreet sister, go ahead.
Yes, for me, as one of my mentor is he's in the leadership, John Maxwell. He wrote over 100 books, and what he is inspired is he said is always is focus on adding a value to others, and that is one of the thing. And taking it one step at a time. He got asked is how do you write that many books? He said is one word at a time. So being giving, kindness, and being flexible.
Wow.
And other quality is I see him in him is always staying with the truth. He's a pastor, so he always stayed with the truth, with the one, being knowledgeable and being cooperative. So many qualities is that is. And the other last one is he always talked about is keep going and taking a next step, never giving up. Just start and never giving up.
Yeah, so that is the highlight, I'm sure. Of course, staying with the truth, kindness, but one word at a time, one step at a time, and keep moving on. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm sure Deepak brother is able to note down everything. Thank you, Harpreet. We have a sharing on the chat box that my father always advised us to do good, not for fear of people, but to good because it should be done. Means not just fear of anything that makes you do things, but because you know doing good should be done. I think that's a very powerful sentence. We should all think about that. Good should be done. So that's why we do good, but not with any other ulterior motive or intention. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think time is running very fast, but if there is at least any one other person who is motivated to speak up, to share, we'll take it on. Anyone? Yes, Vidhi, go ahead.
Yeah, my husband, I will say about my husband, he has a lot of patience. And because of that patience, he understands us very well. So, yeah, we get that encouragement from him.
Great, great. Foundation quality, patience.
Yes,
To be
very much.
resilient, to understand
And
everyone.
understanding, yeah.
Very nice.
So with
Beautiful.
his inner strength, we are also inspired.
That's right. When he is showing the patience, trying to understand you, giving you the space, you also grow and you also learn that quality.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so maybe Deepak bhai, you can bring it on, but I'll read the last chart. My friend has been going through many difficult health challenges, but keeps moving forward, doesn't give up, has faith in God, tries to look at the positive and find different activities that she is able to do, and keeps her sense of humor. So yeah, it's knowing, having the knowledge, faith, and keep on moving. Thank you, Deepak, brother. See, we got many beautiful qualities, some examples, great examples for a resilient person and qualities. See, Queen Elizabeth, compassion, resilient, flexible, intelligent, personality who spread goodness. So believe, be determined and persistent, not give up, looking for a solution instead of reacting, being caring, helps, but also teaches, who is loving. These are all the qualities of a resilient person. So leadership qualities, sticking to basic timeless values of life that somebody shared as few of the people in her life, she has seen the qualities of resilience. in the self, believe in the self, and keep the aim that everything is possible. Dr. Karan saying, appreciative, humble, positive. If a person knows what to do, where to go, and where to stop, and also knows sharing, that's resilience. Yeah, John Maxwell, taking one step at a time, kindness, knowledgeable, never give up, staying with the truth. The father who is, who has taught doing good for others should always be our, intention or motivation. Husband, patience, understands everyone well, and friend who is still keep on moving with a faith in God and tries to look at other activities in life, keeps on moving with life with a balance. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great sharings. And now let's move on to our next. And for that, I'll hand it over to Shruti. Thank you, Shruti.
Thank you, Anubhan. So what we will do in the next portion of the workshop is first we'll go into a little bit of a visualization, really bring out the resilient qualities in ourselves, and then we'll get into some action planning. So as I bring up my screen. So let's start settling in and start getting into a comfortable position. And as you settle down, allow your breathing to find its own rhythm. And let your imagination take you down a path somewhere in the countryside. On a perfect day, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. Maybe you can feel the soft grass under your feet as you pass through a wooden gate. And you find yourself walking towards a beautiful tree. Standing in a beautiful space ahead. And as you approach this very special tree,
Shruti sister, you can stop your video. Maybe it's breaking a bit.
an energy.
Can you switch off your video? Yeah.
That seems to
But stop the sharing as well, please. And continue. Let's
look at that tree. So continue to approach this special tree. It's exuding an energy that seems to resonate with you. Notice its shape, its colors, and the textures. And when you're ready, sit down comfortably at the foot of the tree. Feeling the texture of the trunk supporting your back. And look at the vibrancy of the tree as the branches stretch out. The branches are home to birds. And you can almost hear the sweet song of the birds as they come to rest on your tree. You look up and you see the canopy of green foliage, which provides shade to small animals and relief to people from the heat. The energy of the tree nurtures its fruits, providing sustenance for humans and animals alike. Whether it's apples, pears, mangoes, or nuts. You also notice that the tree is able to bend, swaying flexibly when it's windy, but staying anchored with powerful roots. And yet, the dry leaves blow away when not needed by the tree. Whether it's cold, rain, hail, snow, the tree stands firm and tall. Its inner strengths gathered in. Now start to detach gently from the tree and walk away. And as you walk away, turn around and look back at the tree, considering all the trees that make up the tree, which make up who you are. The roots are your heritage, your family, and others who've taught you in life. The source of your personal and professional values. The ground is the place where you live and work. The trunk, your personal strengths and qualities, your skills, abilities, what others appreciate about you. Branches, your hopes, dreams, and goals. Leaves, the significant people around you who may be alive or those who have passed on. Flowers are the gifts you bring to others, and fruits are the gifts that you take away from these workshops to foster resilience in your personal and beautiful life. This tree, this beautiful tree, is the whole of you. Powerful and resilient in the face of challenge and change. And with that, let's move to our action planning. Ivan, would you like to bring up the slide or should I try?
How about give it a try? It may work.
Sorry, I'm having internet problems even though I'm buffering on my phones.
Just keep your video off, but you can share.
Okay. Okay. So for this exercise, what we will do is reflect on a few ways or methods that you can adopt in the coming week to enhance your resilience. Keeping in mind you are that strong, beautiful tree that will continue to grow and sway and has so much to offer. What is it that you can personally adopt given your personal situation at work and professional lives? We'll take about 30 seconds or so and start sharing. Okay. And start sharing my screen and we can open it up, share. Would anybody like to share?
Yes, can I please?
Yes, please go ahead, Nirupa.
I would practice that nothing is permanent. Everything comes and goes. So nothing in this world is permanent. So the trouble, if I am in any, it is not going to be there permanently. And
Beautiful.
and then I would gather up the confidence that this is nothing new. I have done it before. And yes, keep Baba with me and take the power and move on.
Very nice. Very nice. That's beautiful. Yes, nothing's permanent and nothing's new. It keeps evolving and you've done this before. You can do it again. Very nice. Would anybody else like to go?
We have to feed
Yes,
up
Gulden.
as a mentally and also physically. Yes, that's enough.
Okay.
To feed ourselves, I am repeating, as a mentally and physically, and also we have a very big faith what we do, what we, who am I? Big faith. At that time, I can build my resilience. Otherwise, it will broken down in a short way, short days. Okay, thank you.
Very nice, Gulden. So having the faith and really thinking about who am I and bringing it back. Very nice. Yes, Amarjeet, would you like to speak? I see you unmuted. Amarjeet Kaur.
I think as your age grows, you automatically go resilient to adjust in the, or you are trying to adjust with your kids, and there is a lot of difference in technology according to your
Okay. Okay. I think if I gathered what you were saying,
और
it's
दूसरों के परसेप्शन को समझने की कोशिश करनी है और
okay.
सबसे ज्यादा ट्रस्ट इन गॉड.
Very nice. So if I got everything right from Amarjeet, she's saying, I have trust in God, of course, and try to understand others' point of view. Prajpal Bhai, did you want to speak? I
Yeah,
see you
yeah, let
unmuted.
me
Yes, please.
speak from
Please
the
go ahead.
entire thing. From the entire thing, one thing which is most important, you may be at any position, you must be grounded to the roots and you should be flexible.
Very nice. So
And
grounded
then,
and flexible.
and be flexible. Then, as we have been talked about the trees and the fruits, I remembered one doha. वृक्ष कभी न फल चके, नदी न सींचे नीर, परमार्थ के कर्म साधुन धरा शरीर. That is, you should have the qualities to give. You should be a giver. You should forgive. And this flexibility and to be rooted to the ground, as it is true for the trees, it is true for the man-made buildings or the mankind itself. For the buildings to withstand the earthquake forces, you have to make it leaner and thinner, which means that it should not be massive to absorb the shocks, but you should be able to dissipate the waves. So is the
Very
mankind.
nice.
More
Mhm.
flexible you are, more you have the power to give and forgive, better person you are, you will be happy, and then you will be connected to Baba, not
Very
otherwise.
nice. Very nice. So flexible, giving, and just willing to sway.
Acceptance.
Yes. And we'll just take one last with Balvinder. Yes, please go ahead, Balvinder.
Hello, Ji. Om Shanti Ji. My action plan is I will review learning material and I will continue taking value workshop every week. And I will continue reviewing, understanding, and practicing those 7 fundamental qualities of soul. Believing in myself, my self-empowerment, my power, my stability. And the best meditation that you have done today, I will try to follow you to get that copy. And I will try, and I will use that analogy for myself. How can I become a tree? And how can I imbibe all those qualities in my personality? And plus, my best mental model is Shrimati Draupadi Murmu. We all know we can draw so many qualities from her personality, how she was able to transfer her challenges, her tears, her pain and suffering, her traumas into treasure. So she is the best example. For me, I will follow her and I will keep her in my reminder. For all of us, we can draw million qualities from her personality. If she can do it, we can do it. We are all superstar powerful. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Balvinder. So a lot of things continuing to learn, continuing to practice, and following some role models. So very nice. And in all honesty, Balvinder, I cannot take credit for the meditation. This is part of the material that was created for values and for Vihasa by the Janaki Foundation. And I'll be happy to send you a copy
Thank
of
you.
that meditation.
Thank you. I truly love
Certainly.
that, but I didn't understand
No,
much of it.
certainly.
Thank you.
That's totally
Thank you.
fine. All right. So I think with that, in the interest of time, Deepak Bhai, if you want to just bring up the summary slide. So again, a lot of ways by which we can continue to build our resilience. I think Deepak Bhai, we're on the previous slide. Yeah, remembering that nothing is permanent, everything comes and goes, nothing new, and take power from God and move on, knowing and having faith in who I am, and sharing with others, understanding others' perspectives, and just having faith in God, being flexible, be a giver, forgive, again, the power to give and forgive, review learning material, attend workshops, and follow divine qualities in some of the people who inspire us. In this case, the sharing was about the current president of India. With that, I think I will hand it back to Sister Anu for last week's summary. Thank you.
Much, Shruti. That was beautiful exercise. And yes, time is running very fast. We are all waiting to hear from Sister Judy about resilience. Before that, let's quickly revise. What is that we heard from Sister Denise? We had that fortune, I would say, always to listen to Sister Denise, who brings so much of wisdom. And I'll request everybody to please mute yourself kindly. So it was beautiful how she started with when India got independence and when they wanted to build up themselves with strength and power, that led them to create 3 commissions that is based on values, actually. So they understood that values are needed for people to, again, come back to a good life without influences of British or any Islamic rules. So when they wanted to be independent, the values came into focus. And that is where she actually shared that values represented a solution to problems. And every time a positive word was identified, like a word or something that they used to get to solution, that was counted as a value. And that's how the values, books or, came into compilation. And resilience is an important value. So she was actually mentioning about it's a power to bounce back from memories or thoughts that keep us in a lower emotional stage. We react or we experience negative experiences, and coming out of that, coming back from that, it needs also like courage as well as conviction for what to do to be out or bouncing back. And for that, kind of brought attention to the spiritual aspect, that connection with the Supreme, or, considering ourselves as a spiritual being, and going into that silence, we can tap onto what is right spiritually. So we are spiritual beings in a physical body, and even understanding that and bringing that spiritual essence in our actions will always help us to be resilient and bounce back. She mentioned about from the Gita, particularly, she was talking about pairs of opposites. So praise and defamation, comfort and discomfort, cold and heat, or even she was saying, success and failure. There are always 2 opposites in our life, right? And that's called the power of equanimity, knowing both sides, staying in the middle, not affected, but yet fully involved. So that was the knowledge that Krishna gave to Arjun, that it's no time to get connected emotionally, thinking I'm standing opposite my own brothers, siblings to fight, but seeing that for the truth, it's a battlefield that is ready. You have to just do your actions that is right. And that is where the knowing me as a spiritual being and enhancing that ability through meditation, spiritual practices is very important, so that in these pairs of opposites, we can stay neutral. So neutralized part, she was talking about that. The highlight was that how emotionally you can be neutral while being sensitive and helpful to others. Indifference or not caring for others is not resilience. So you have to be sensitive, but yet stay in your neutral emotional space in the middle. Then you can be resilient and helpful to the self as well as others. So yeah, so a deep connection between striving for neutrality and striving for resilience. Resilience is to stay in that neutral, the equilibrium, that's the equanimity. That is what Gita praises, that, in the comfort and discomfort, stay in the neutral. Again, so it was not being insensitive, but resilience means knowing both positive and negative, but staying in the middle, emotionally stable. So resilience is a power, and it can help us to handle stress at any level and all relationships. So a few guidelines she gave, like do not take things personally. Of course, we know, but well, we have to expand and understand what does that mean. Again, it's not a personal attack on you. She also started with talking about the plant. Plants have their different capacity to endure through the nature's upheavals or negative or any storms. It's not about the quality of the plant is good or bad, but they have a different capacity. But we as spiritual beings in the physical body have the capacity to the fullest to be resilient only through that spiritual practice. You can come out and you can endure through any situation. And for that, of course, she was talking about discernment and discriminate. Power has to be there. You have to see what is positive, what is negative. And knowingly first stay neutral in the emotional balance in the middle, and then act, do the action like Arjuna. So, so this is a quote. As we see, I can't thoroughly read at the beginning, but it says, where there are games going on, you have to develop the powers to discern and discriminate so that you are not manipulated by the games which are meant to disempower you. So life, there are two meanings to it. See everything happening in your life as a game, as well as understand when people play games, because we all are driven by wanting something, and people, or we ourselves also maybe play games. We have to check. As a mother, do I play game to manipulate my child? We have to see. So there are a few questions asked. Again, so it's a question I cannot read on the top. I cannot see. Sorry about that. Why I can't see. Anyway, the neutrality, how to develop it, right? So seeing everything as a game and not emotionally be distressed. Her commentary at the end was also that I'm seeing everything as a game, but I am in power, and neither get trapped. Feel if you don't see the game, you may get trapped. Trapped means you react back emotionally. That is being trapped. Stay stable in your neutral space. You can see what is right and wrong accurately, and you can handle it. The second question was about the question the person asked was like, when we have goodness, niceness, somebody's humble, kind, compassionate, you know, to handle a situation. They may come as harsh, or they may become not nice. And that is an inner conflict or guilt they have to deal with. So how to handle that? So it's like, you know, how do we show resiliency while preserving our goodness and niceness? And she was talking about in the cultures how women are, you know, put down, or they are taught to kind of accept everything that's happening. But she brought two important points that, you know, you can be nice to others, but their rights stop when they impeach on someone else's rights. When somebody's doing wrong, it's not about being nice, but you can stay in your self-respect and yet tell them, show them the boundary. And your self-respect is your niceness maybe, but you are firm, or you are telling them this is not nice what they're doing. And she was saying, never let others make you respect them for disrespecting you. If somebody is disrespecting you, they lose their right to be respected by you. It's powerful. Think about it. So diplomacy, the real meaning of diplomacy is, again, sit in the self-respect, but yet be caring for others. So we have to think about that. So we'll just quickly finish it up because time is running. Somebody was asking, should I meditate more to develop the power of resilience? And she said, it's not about, you know, hours of meditation to increase, but it's about what you are thinking. What is the thought or the quality of the thought on which you are meditating? That will increase your resiliency. So it's about, you know, what is self-respect, and, you know, developing that sense to stay in my self-respect while meditating. In meditation, that should be the aim, not more number of hours. Very important thing she brought to our attention again, that what is meditation? And for that, Dadi Janki, she mentioned, she was the administrative head of Brahma Kumaris, you know, since 2020 March. So Dadi Janki used to say 3 times Om Shanti. The first Om Shanti was a question to the self, that who am I? It's not that I am peace. It's not just a mantra, but first Om Shanti is to ask yourself, who am I? Not about who am I or what am I, but what kind of soul am I? Not just that I'm a soul, but what kind of soul? What are that beautiful qualities of the soul that's expressed by you? What kind of soul are you? Second Om Shanti is to remind yourself that you are a child of the Supreme Soul, connecting with the souls. That is where she said, you don't demand respect, you command respect. And just 2 different words. Demand is requesting, it's needy, it's asking. But command is from a higher level, and that is through meditation with self-respect as well as respect here for others. Authority that comes, the pure authority. That you command respect. Again, it's not about through words you are asking respect, but your energy, your conducting, your behavior commands respect from others. Third Om Shanti is, what must I do? In that authority, when through connecting with the Supreme and in meditation, we can stay in that inner self-respect. You know, what must you do? What is the right action? And when we know that, the conviction comes, then we truly become resilient. So I think few other questions, I'll not take it. You will be receiving it through our review materials. So now I think quickly we'll move to Sister Judy for our next part, that is to go through, you know, and for that, first of all, Brother Manoj is able to be with us now. That's great. Then I'll make Sister Judy co-host. Yeah, she's here.
So thank you, Sister Anu, and hope I'm audible clearly. And I'm really missing these workshops, but It's the Divine Drama Plan. I'm in Calgary at the moment attending a conference, so you can see me, I'm wearing all these clothes here. Okay, so before that, let me just immensely thank Sister Judy Johnson, and she's here with us. If you can hear, thank you so much. And you've also spotlighted her. And thank you once again, because we, I think, requested you to be here 1 week ago and you just said yes. So thanks. It's a big gratitude again to you. And all of you know her. She has been with us on the first power. So let me just again take this opportunity, grab this opportunity to speak about her a bit. She has been into Brahma Kumaris since almost 35 years now, and she works as a facilitator and also as a coaching consultant in various things. But what I like, because that is what closely relates to me also, is experiential learning. And she holds a Bachelor of Social Work and a Master's of Adult Education. And let me tell you, she's an author of 5 books. I'm not telling you the books, but you are one of the latest books which she says is the Return to Source, the God Experience. And all of you know very well that she coordinates the activities of the BKs in Halifax and the Atlantic region of Canada. So as always, I would just want to again introduce her in the form of a poem. So first, a few lines for her, that today we have with us an angel from Halifax.
Brother, we can't see you. If you can switch on your video, if that's possible.
Actually, my video is already on. Yeah, I mean, others can.
It's
I
going
can also,
off and on. That's
oh,
okay.
probably it is just because I'm switching off the pages into WhatsApp. I'm joining from my mobile phone, so it's a bit limited. Oh, I'm sure my voice is audible clearly.
Yes, brother, go ahead.
Okay, so we have with us an angel today from Halifax, and who shall teach us how to smile without paying any tax. Words of wisdom flow through her like a fax, so that in life we can achieve everything to the max and be ever ready, keeping our bags well packed. And since we are today covering, I heard the last bit of Anu's sister sharing, Sister Dennis on resilience, a beautiful value. I feel I have missed that, but well. So today I'll speak a few lines on resilience before I give the stage to her. So today she shall share her wisdom on how to be resilient and develop the skill of flexibility and increase our emotional quotient. Because life is to enjoy and make each day very brilliant. Because at each step in life, we need to develop the virtue of fulfillment. Practice the art of giving and feel a sense of contentment, because staying happy always is indeed a big commitment. So with this, I would welcome Sister Judy again, and Om Shanti so much. Thank you so much for joining. Over to you. All the stage is yours.
Thank you, Manoj. Bye. Om Shanti. And don't you look dapper in your doctor outfit, doctor conference outfit. Very nice. We've been following you across the country of Canada, and now you're out west, quite far away from me, but it's been wonderful what you've been doing here in Canada. Thank you for that. Wonderful service. Every one of the classes has been just rich and joyful. So really appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll also take a moment. Thank you, Manoj brother, for making the time and joining, because he's in a conference in Calgary and he was not actually about to join, but he said, I'll join. Introduce Sister Judy. So we all also met him. And thank you, brother, for doing great service in Canada, as Sister Judy said. Thank you.
All
Excellent.
thanks to Baba. Thank you, all of you. I'll be leaving soon. Thanks.
Okay, Om Shanti, thank you. And hello, everyone. And thank you, Anubin, for your beautiful hosting of this. It's just, you know, it's a very sustaining series. I poke in every now and then, but I listen to the recordings and they're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So this is a beautiful service initiative as well. Thank you. And I'm looking just to see some faces, and I see some faces I know, and lots of screens with pictures I know. So that's really nice. So welcome, everyone. I think you've already been sitting for a little bit of time, have you? And you need a little bit of movement before we begin. Shall we do that? Let's do it. Let's have some fun with that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to do a little bit of movement, and this is going to be related to our theme. But first of all, let's just begin with a moment of silence together, shall we? All right, for those that would like a little movement, if you can just push your chair back and sit, but in a way that you're able to stand quickly if needed, okay? And what I'm going to, oh, my voice is too low. How is this? Can you hear me now? Is it okay? Better? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share a little slide here. And on this slide, you will see a variety of emotions. And oddly enough, when we speak about the topic of resilience, emotional resilience is one of the main themes, especially for dedicated spiritual students who suddenly discover emotions erupting from time to time. So I'm going to call out an emotion, and I'm going to ask you to stand or sit, depending on the kind of energy it creates in you. So here we go. Surprise, stand up. So that's a higher emotion. Everybody stand up. Okay. Do a quick little spin where you're standing. Okay. Impatient, sit down. It's sort of a lower energy, right? Okay. Happy. Up you go. Disappointed. Down you go. Excited. Up you go. Grumpy. Down you go. Curious. Up you go. Nervous. Down you go. Joyful. Up you go. Shy. Down you go. Okay. And one more time. Om Shanti. Up you go. Turn around once in one direction and twice in the other direction. Shake out your arms, shake your body, whatever you need to do. Step 3 steps to the right. 1, 2, 3. 3 steps to the left. 1, 2, 3. And come and sit. That's all we're going to get to do for today. But it gets us going. Hey, gets us going a little bit. All right. And especially the emotions, up and down, up and down. We could go on and you'd be exhausted by the end of that, right? You needed a little break. But in life, when we go through high emotions and low emotions and high emotions and low emotions throughout the day, and even in our spiritual practice, when those become smaller ups and downs, they're still ups and downs, and they exhaust us. And so the topic of resilience for me is fascinating because we talk about bouncing back. But sometimes when we're on an emotional roller coaster, we're going up and then we're going down. And we're going up and we're going down, and we exhaust ourselves without really hitting, where are we bouncing back to? We want to bounce back to our highest state, right? Soul consciousness. So much of our emotional fluctuation is actually what we need resilience for right now. A lot of it's the internal fluctuation. But I digress. I have thought about this topic a lot. It's a field in which I work professionally. And so I wanted to bring you today a little bit from the field, like from the research around resilience, but then of course how it applies to us as spiritual students at this time in the Kalpa, in the cycle of time, in the drama we're living right now in the world. And I did listen to Sister Denise and thoroughly enjoyed her talk about resilience last week. And she said many beautiful things, but one of the things that really stood out for me was how she talked about resilience is sort of a perfect blend. Those are my words, but a perfect blend of strength and flexibility. And she used the power to discern and to face, which I love both of those powers. They're like my go-to powers typically. But the one that I wanted to explore a little bit today, because it really felt to me that it's a power that lends itself so nicely to this topic of resilience, and that's the power to accommodate, to merge. And when I think of strength and flexibility, I think of water. Because water flows, right? It's enormously flexible, but incredibly strong. This is Roche-Percé in Gaspésie in Quebec, just on the tip of Quebec, New Brunswick. And of course, we see this in many places where water over time will make its way through the hardest thing, the hardest rock. So strength and flexibility. And the thing about water, which I love, is that it can be in this shape, in this form. It can be in this form. It can be in this form. It actually takes the form of the container it is in, right? So water changes its shape all the time, from an ice cube to a sprinkler, to a glass of water, to a river, to an ocean. But never, ever does water ever lose its essential nature. Its essential nature, H2O. Water never loses its H2O-ness. It's always H2O, whether it's frozen, whether it's flowing in a river, or whether it's lapping against the beach in the ocean. And this, I feel, is the power of resilience. It's the value of resilience. It's the set of qualities that make up resilience. It's the set of practices that help us remain strong and flexible in the right measure in every situation, is that I never lose my essential nature. The situation may require me to adapt, adjust, change my shape or form, but never do I lose my soulness. Just like water never loses its H2O-ness, I never lose my essential nature. So this is really what we're going to explore today, is resilience. And what does it really mean? And I feel like the power to accommodate is enormous. It's a lovely example. We can relate to that as the flow, but the strength. So the water metaphor. So you with me? Okay, another little exercise to begin. If you can all just cross your arms in front of your body. I'd like you just to settle into that feeling, arms crossed. Some of us do this a lot. I don't do this posture so much, but every now and then I do. It's kind of a comfortable place to put the arms, depending on how you're standing or sitting. But I'd just like you to have your arms crossed like this and take a moment to see how that feels. So how does it feel to have your arms crossed like this in front of, pretty much it's the part of your body that has most of your vital organs, isn't it? Other than the brain, you're in front of your heart, your stomach, your liver, your kidney, all the organs of the body are just underneath where we cross our arms on most bodies, unless we have really short arms or really, really long. But, you know, it's basically that middle area of the body. So just take a moment and settle into that feeling. What's the feeling of having your arms crossed in front of you? Now you can't chat box because your arms are crossed, so don't do that. And you can't unmute either, so just take a moment and think about how that feels. And I don't know about you, for me it feels a little bit clenched, but also, so I have to sort of lift my shoulders up to make sure I'm still dignified, because otherwise you curve in like this, right? But the feeling is protected. there's a sense of protection by covering, you know, my vital organs like this. And yeah, I don't know how you're feeling, but let's suggest a bit of feeling. Now, what I'd like you to do right now is to take your arms, uncross them, and I would like you to recross them the different direction. Can you get the different? It's really hard. Okay, see, because you're going to end up back in the original spot. Okay, I think this is it. Okay, can you get the opposite direction? So here's your go-to, natural, easy. Now switch it to the opposite. Even your brain is confused. Is this opposite? Or is this just the same? But I think it's opposite. Oh, I think that might be it. Okay, it's hard, isn't it? Isn't it interesting? All right, so I have to actually look down and see which arm is across the top and then make sure the other arm is across the top. That's the only way I can do it. It doesn't really happen naturally otherwise. Are you finding that as well? Okay, so I think this has a lot to do with resilience. Because to be resilient, you have to be agile enough, right? When Denise Ben talked about discerning, you have to discern what's needed in a situation, but you have to be flexible enough to do it. And what we have done as souls over time is we have set ourselves in a fixed posture. This works for me. This works for me. It's comfortable, it's familiar. But as a soul internally, I've also set a fixed posture of protection, right? I'm protecting the vital organs in the body when I do this, but for the soul, it's an energetic stance, an energetic posture I have adopted over time to protect the vulnerable parts of me. So the parts of me that have been hurt in the drama of life, the parts of me that are nervous or afraid, the parts of me that have been wounded maybe by life, and I'm protecting them. And so this protection takes the form of a mask, takes the form of ego identity, takes many forms, but they're all rigid. They're rigid, they're fixed, and they're habitual. They're like this. And to be resilient, I have to be able to do this. No, that's wrong. Yeah, I have to be able to shift the posture, my energy posture. That's what flexible means, right? I have to be able to shift quickly the posture of the soul, the energy stance of the soul, frame of mind. This is resilience. It is developed over time, and there are some core practices that help us with that. And that's what I'd like to explore today. Anuben, does that make sense? Yeah.
Totally. My God, it's a revelation. I didn't know that.
I know. It's amazing to see, isn't it, in yourself how, and we don't even know that we're doing this all the time. So we can say all the right words. I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But the problem is, habitually, we always do this. Whenever it comes to protect the self, we do this. I think that what makes resilience so valuable for us right now is that as the world starts to fall apart a little bit, I don't know if you've noticed in Canada, but this is a country that used to work really well. In fact, people come to this country because it works so well, right? In the last year, somehow, I've noticed things breaking, really, really breaking. And, you know, it took me 6 months to get a passport renewed. And I know in Vancouver, they were sleeping on the street outside of the passport center. Canada. How is this possible? Right? So as the world begins to, things break or they don't quite work the way we think they should, or even the way they used to. Just a year ago, our healthcare system's a primary example. right? Many things, as soon as they begin to break down a little bit, then I notice to what extent I was relying on them to work, on them to function in order for me to feel stable and secure. So every time something breaks around me in a system, in society, in the world around me, I discover by how shaken I am, I discover how much I was depending on something outside myself for my own inner stability. The study of resilience is taking that dependence entirely internal. But I discover my resilience and I develop my resilience in the way I learn to cope or respond to the things outside me that are shaking me. So let's look a little bit at resilience and where it came from. Originally, it was a science concept, and physics was one of the originators. It comes from the Latin verb to jump back or to recoil. So in physics, it's the ability of an elastic material, like the elastic band, to absorb the energy, the kinetic energy of the stretch, and then release it back into its original shape. So for us as a soul, the original state is not a sitting down after I've been excited, now I sit down and I'm depressed. No. The original state is between the emotional fluctuations is soul conscious, stable, content, happy, solid, peaceful, powerful, right? But this term from science actually got taken up for the very first time ever in the 1970s, 1976. A woman by the name of Emmy Werner applied resilience to people. And she coined the term for the first time, psychological resilience. And in Hawaii, she studied a little cohort of children who were in a disadvantaged, very marginalized community. And they were experiencing all kinds of trauma, violence, abuse, etc. She did a longitudinal study for 40 years to see how did these children do. And she discovered that some of them, in spite of facing the same abuse, the same violence, the same trauma, somehow they did really well. And she said, oh, I think some people are more resilient than others. So this is when we first discovered resilience as it related to the social sciences. And since that time, we have learned so much. So this is Emmy Werner's words herself. Mental processes and behaviors that promote personal assets and protect the self from the potential negative effects of stressors. That's how she defined resilience, the first definition ever. And then she went on to say they are the psychological and behavioral capabilities that allow a person to remain calm during crises, chaos, and to move on from the incident without long-term negative consequences. So something troubling happens, a challenge, a stressor, something. One, in the moment, I respond to it positively, but after it's over, there's no effect on me. I don't remember that again and again and again and re-traumatize myself, right? So those were her definitions, the earliest definitions of resilience, which I find very interesting to think of the origins of something that we now use as a word all the time, resilience, right? So we have many lessons that we can learn from the study of resilience for ourselves as spiritual students. And I'd like to share some of those with you. So one of the things, and another little bit of history to the resilience movement, psychology has sort of owned the study of resilience primarily in the last 30, 40 years. And something happened in psychology when, with the invention of the MRI machine. So the magnetic resonance imaging scan, right? And that was in the early 80s. It's quite a while ago now. We didn't have one here for quite a bit later in Halifax, but these machines can look at a brain. They can do a brain scan, well, any part, but initially when we use them for brain scans, it's like they can do little slices of the brain and they can see exactly what's happening in each millimeter, smaller than that, of the brain. And what we discovered through the MRI scans is that every time somebody tells their trauma story, they tell what happened to them. This bad thing happened this morning. I went here. My boss yelled at me today. My mother-in-law is always picking at me. She said that every time we tell our story of something that happened to us, something negative, something we didn't like, a stressor, a challenge, every time we tell that story, we wire the neural networks of our brain together. At the time, we didn't know much about neurophysics, neuroscience, right, in the 80s, very early days. But what they called it at that time is that we're creating scar tissue on the brain. They didn't know it was wiring together, firing together, neural networks. Now we understand that a neural network gets solidified and it becomes the go-to option, the channel, the pathway that the brain takes, the least resistance, right? Which is why we're developing positive sanskaras, right? We're practicing positive virtues and values and qualities so that they get fixed in our brains. They become the go-to. But at the time, this was a shocking discovery for psychology. In fact, it meant for an identity crisis. Because, oh my goodness, our primary tool in psychology is therapeutic, is psychotherapy, which is taking people into the traumas to discover how to release from them. So we all know it's important to at least say the trauma once. It has to come out. It has to be told. Otherwise, it's suppressed and it's warping the person's energy. Fine, we know that. But to tell it again and again and again and again just reinforces it, re-victimizes the person, right? So they discovered as a result of that, they created a field of study called positive psychology. Martin Seligman is considered the grandfather, the father of positive psychology, where the study of resilience resides today. We've learned a lot about resilience since then. And I'd like to share with you today that there are actually, what makes a person thrive in chaos. Lots of things. The initial studies, faith in the self, someone has faith in me, even in a really terrible situation. If even one person has faith in you, you stand a better chance of surviving that situation, right? Of being resilient. Trusting in positive outcomes. It's considered a naive outlook, but in innocence of believing in positive outcomes actually supports resilience. A purpose or meaning in life that's greater than the circumstance you're in. So the studies have shown people inside church communities, inside spiritual communities, do far better just because they have a greater purpose or meaning than their daily, ordinary living, right? Determination, community of any kind, and a connection to a higher power. So these are early studies that tell us in those children, say in Hawaii, or in anybody today from a psychology perspective. This is what the field of positive psychology is revealing for us about what helps a person be resilient. So you can look at this yourself and go check, 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 which ones of those you see in yourself. And if something's missing, well, then circle that one, please. Spend a little bit of time in that one because it's very important for your own resilience. But what we have discovered, because it's now 40, almost 50 years of the study of resilience, a lot has happened in this field since those very early days. And I would like to share with you the 3 levels of resilience that have emerged in the past 40 years, and in particular focus on the highest level, because I feel that's where spiritual students are at this time. Okay? Yeah? Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Anu. It's nice to see a human face. I can see, are we too fast? Are we? Oh, there's Claudia. Hello, Claudia. Okay, that's great. Oh, and Harpert's there. And oh, I just see lots of people. That's good. I had you all off so that I could see the screen. Thank you. Gita's there. I see lots of lovely faces. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so 3 levels of resilience, and then we'll go into some detail on each one. But just quickly and firstly, the first level, which was discovered, is this: do you bend or do you break? Right? So can you bounce back? The wind blows a tree over like that, it always comes back up again. So that was the first level of resilience. Do you bend or do you break? And at this level, this is your bounce back ability. Can you bounce back? Can you keep going in spite of difficult situations or trauma? Now, this is good. This is great. This is brilliant. We all want this, right? And it's just the first level. We have got so much more understanding now, because do I really want to live my life just bouncing back? Do I really want to live my life as an elastic band? I don't think so. I would like something a little better than that, wouldn't I? I confess I have 2 daughters, and as a single mom, and they're old and gone away now, but when they're younger days, we used to have a pizza movie night every Friday night. So I've watched all the Disney movies, of course. But then as they got older, they started wanting to watch interesting things like young adult movies. And at that era of movies that were kind of acceptable for families to watch, because that's all we ever watched, the movies were dystopian. You know this word? It's like after the world blows up and then people live on. They're called dystopia movies. And there were famous ones like The Hunger Games and Divergent. So I've seen my share of dystopian movies, is all I want to tell you. I've watched a lot of these movies where the whole world blows up and then the young people live on to make a better world. And I have 2 girls, they loved it because always the hero of the movie was a heroine, a young adult woman. And the reason she was a heroine is because she always pulled the community together around values. So the values that made a community thrive and love each other and support each other. And it was great. They were beautiful movies from that perspective. But when we get to the end of the movie and we're hoping for a better world, all we get is that they survived the latest war, the latest battle, and now they go on to live another one. And that's part 2 of the trilogy, or part 3 of the trilogy. And when the trilogy's over, the world didn't get any better and they didn't get any better. They just are ready to fight another battle. And I think that's a little bit what happened with this level of resilience, is that I want much more from life than just bouncing back. I want much more from life and from myself than just fighting a battle today and being ready to fight the next one tomorrow. There's more to it than that. And in positive psychology, they discovered there is another level. And it's called flourish or thrive. So instead of just surviving and bouncing back to survive, let's thrive, shall we? Let's flourish. Let's blossom and bloom. Let's bring out all of our most beautiful qualities into this world. So let's fulfill our full potential as human beings. So this became the next level in the resilience research, is this whole area of studying what helps a human being actually thrive. And then the third level, and this is the one that fascinates me, and this is a recent addition. This is within the last 5 years. This has entered the scene, and this is called anti-fragile. I just love this. I just love this. So this brother, his name is Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He's a mathematician, statistician. I can't make any sense of his book because it's all charts and graphs and statistics, except for the parts that he tells the story. I understood that part. But basically, his premise is certain things get stronger when they are resisted. You think of isometric exercises, your muscles get stronger when you face resistance. right? Oddly enough, so his idea is that we can actually learn to become unshakable in the face of calamity. So we actually get stronger with every difficulty that happens to us. He works in the insurance industry. A little bit of a background. When he discovered this, we were calculating, some of you know this better than I, it's not my world, but apparently in the insurance world, we used to calculate someone's risk according to how frequent the possibility or probability of an accident could be. So how many earthquakes in this part of the world, then your house insurance premium would be at this level. How often an 18-year-old boy is likely to have an accident in a car. We use those statistics and we create the premium, the insurance premium, based on that probability. So he worked in this world and he discovered in the insurance world that at a certain point, they couldn't predict how probable things were. Earthquakes were happening faster. Accidents were happening because there was more craziness on the road. They decided instead then to look at how anti-fragile is the car, how anti-fragile is the house in the earthquake zone. And then they began to create the premium on the basis of how stable, flexible, earthquake worthy is the house, not the probability of the event happening, because they were happening far more often than they ever predicted. You with me on this? So he took that and he applied that to people. And he said, we don't actually have a word for this with people. And he called it anti-fragile and started applying it to people, which I find quite interesting for us. So this is a quote from him: some things benefit from shocks. They actually thrive and grow when they're exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors. Anti-fragility is beyond resilience. In the resilient, we resist the shocks and we stay the same. So the tree bounces back the same. Anti-fragile, we get better. We get stronger. Isn't that nice? And doesn't that feel right for, this is someone who's not a spiritual student. It's coming from the insurance industry, but for him to name it this way, I find interesting because it gives us an opportunity to speak about these things. So for instance, one of the ideas is children only develop confidence and agility, physical confidence and agility and judgment skills if they're allowed to take risks on playgrounds. So a bump, a fall, okay, it might hurt, but it was all part of getting stronger, right? The cybersecurity world is so much stronger every time we have a cyber attack. The malware and the cybersecurity world gets stronger, better, right? So the attack helps make it stronger. This is a weird one. Every time there's bad news about somebody, it makes media coverage. So very often publicists will plant negative news about a rock star so that it will hit the news and they will get more media coverage. So their reputation grows because of bad news. It's a weird thing, but this is the anti-fragility world. So this is being able to stay unshakable. And we have the term in the Brahma Kumaris in our study of being unshakable and immovable. And so this is, I think, where our interest would be to be this. The others will help us get there. So then the question becomes, of course, how do you move from one level up to the next? If you're at the bounce back, how do I move up to the next one? If I feel like I'm thriving, how do I move up to the next one? Okay, we all ultimately, I think, would like to be resilient at the level of anti-fragility, unshakability. Would you say that's true for you? Yes, let's aim for unshakable. So first level, this one's quite simple actually. And I'm going to ask you because you're all resilient or you wouldn't be here today. You're all bouncing back from who knows how many life challenges. You wouldn't be in this session today if you weren't already at the first level. So you're bouncing back. So I'm going to ask you, What is the attitude that you have developed in the face of life's bumps and challenges? Okay, and I'm going to give you a series of options and ask you to pick which one for you. And you can type it in the chat box or just screenshot it for you, or just quietly smile to yourself, whatever you would like. But here they go, a series of quotes that come from the resilience world. First one, scars remind us of where we've been. They don't have to dictate where we're going. So that's a piece of wisdom that a resilient person would live by. So it becomes an attitude. Next one, the only point is to flourish and to aid the flourishing of others. So one of the things that helps us be resilient is to be helping others. Keeps us resilient, right? Okay, next one, grab your brave self and get ready to flourish. So if bravery or courage has been an attitude that has helped you be resilient, then this is your quote. This one, you gotta stop watering dead plants. I think this is a little bit when Denise was talking about discerning. Don't be giving your energy to the things that are actually sabotaging you, undermining you, cutting you down. If it's not growing, stop feeding it. Step away. Another one, and the day came when the risk to remain in a tight bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. Another resilience quote. And I think this is the last one. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. It's an old Japanese proverb. Isn't that great? I think that's the end of them. Let me just check if I have another one there. I don't want to go ahead. No, that's the last one. Okay, so I'm just going to show you one more time and you can see, and you might have your own, in which case stop for a moment and think about what is the wisdom or the attitude, because again, that's a posture. An attitude is a posture of the soul. What's an attitude that you carry that helps you remain resilient and has helped you to get to the point that you're sitting here in today's session? Okay, I'm going to show them again. Pick which one works for you, or type one in the chat box. If you have a different one, it would be wonderful to see that. So here we go. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. And the day came when the risk to remain in a tight bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. You got to stop watering dead plants. Grab your brave self and get ready to flourish. The only point is to flourish and to aid in the flourishing of others. And scars remind us where we've been. They don't have to dictate where we're going. So take a moment, and I love it. You've got, people are adding here, adding your own. I love that. Add some new ones for us. This is great. When you face any hard position, bend, don't break. This too shall pass. That's excellent. I am not what I was yesterday. I am what I am today and who I choose to be. Beautiful. First one, the scars on me got me to learn who I am and good company. Lovely, Melanie. Always focus on what I want. Never focus on what I do not want. Look at this wisdom. We could write the resilience book with these. Okay, any more? Nothing new. Good. That's a good one. Nothing new. The only point is to flourish and help others flourish. Yeah. Love the blossom quote. Yeah. Grab your own strength. That's a good one, isn't it? And go ahead. Everything is temporary. Focus on today, not what happened. Very good. All is good and beneficial. Keep getting up. It's a new way, a new moment. Try again. Push the self into courage. Learn from raincoats are waterproof. I, the soul, blossom from being feeling proof. Let's say emotion proof. We want to feel those lovely spiritual feelings, but let's be emotion proof. That's beautiful. These are great. Okay, I might actually have to copy those if I can and save them, because those would be great. All right, so how do we move then from resilience to flourish? And I actually feel most of you are probably already in the flourishing category because of everything you've just said. But let me tell you the one step that makes a difference from just bouncing back, and your comments indicate this is true for you. But to move up now into the flourishing, I'm fulfilling my potential. And as BK students, I would expect you all to be here for sure. But the one thing that makes the difference between just bouncing back and actually flourishing is to reflect on your lived experience and learn from them. Draw the wisdom from your own experiences, which obviously you can only have done to share with me what you just shared in the chat box, right? The slogan for the flourishing level of resilience is that wisdom is fertilizer for growth. And I think any of us who have been on this with the Brahma Kumaris as a student for a long time, we know that realizations are so empowering. Anytime we have a realization, growth. And yet it's interesting to reflect, sometimes the growth has already happened. The realization just draws my attention to the point that I just shot up another inch. I just shot up another, right? But this is basically the slogan for the flourishing level, is that wisdom is fertilizer for growth. I think this is why it's suggested that we do a chart every night. My chart, I've done a chart every night for my entire Brahmin life. I love the charts. I make new charts all the time. They entertain me endlessly. I love them. But it's because I don't do how much was I this today? How much was I that today? Did I do this today? That would drive me. I'd be so depressed if I did that in my chart. So I don't do that. Instead, I ask an interesting question every night. And they're different every night, so I'm always entertained. What's the value you used most today? When were you closest to God today? What original quality did you experience today? How did you dance with drama today? I use questions that help me reflect on my lived experience of the day, but help me draw a feeling of wisdom and help me feel good about myself. I feel that we underutilize the reflection because we're so busy studying and we're so busy doing service and we're so busy that I actually have to really make time to reflect. And I do that in the morning through journaling, and I do that at night. Because anything you nourish will flourish. You gotta nourish it. You gotta nourish the wisdom we're learning in order to flourish. Okay, so that's how we move. I'll ask you a quick question because I see our time is going very quickly here. What do you love most about your spiritual journey right now? You can think about it quietly without answering it right now, but I will tell you every Sunday for the month of September, this is my reflection question in my chart. Every Sunday, I'm asking, what do I love most about my spiritual journey right now? And the answers that come out surprise me every week. And every week it's something slightly different. And every week it's nuanced. It's just a little subtle angle I hadn't thought about. So it might be my study, but there'll be an aspect I hadn't thought about before. It might be the Brahm, this family, this community I live with, but there'll be an aspect I hadn't thought of. It's different every time. But this is the kind of flourishing question. They're always positive and they always draw out my own wisdom so that I can see it, because a lot of wisdom is being deposited into me every single day. But am I absorbing it? And to ask myself the question, am I absorbing it, makes me depressed, because I'll say, no, obviously not all of it. So then how am I happier after that? I'm not flourishing after that question. So I ask myself, what wisdom did I absorb today? It's a harder question to answer, but that's a resilience, flourishing question. So you're welcome to ask yourself this question on a weekly or monthly or daily basis, whatever works for you. All right, because we grow what we pay attention to. Obviously, we know this. Okay, I'm going to move quickly to the last level. Is that okay if I move on? You get level 2, right? Reflecting, drawing your wisdom, seeing your wisdom so that it becomes part of your beauty. If you don't see it, maybe others see it, and that's great, but you have to see it yourself. You have to reflect on it yourself. Okay, I'm going to move on. All right, so the last one is this anti-fragile business. Such a one. Okay. And what we know from the positive psychology study, because now they're turning their attention to this, even though it came from the insurance industry, risk assessment world, in reality, it's now getting applied to people. And we know this from a spiritual study, the Brahma Kumaris, that we want to become this. But in order to get to this level, you can't just reflect. You can't just bounce back. You can't just have the personal qualities that help you. You actually have to practice. It requires a daily commitment to a regular practice in order to become anti-fragile. And the three main practices, and we all know these, but I'm going to say them out loud. Oh, and this is the isometrics, right? You can't get strong unless you have to confess. The sirens increase my practice. Every time there's a siren, instantly I give power to good wishes to them. So that's another example of anti-fragile. Instead of being affected and nervous or worried, immediately go to give power, give strength, give courage. So that's an example of becoming anti-fragile. It's a practice. We have many practices for this, but I'm going to share the three main ones. And this gentleman here is just an example of, you don't get strong unless you practice. You can't become anti-fragile unless you practice. So the first one is, every day I have to connect with something bigger than the situation I'm in. We have the great fortune in the Brahma Kumaris to study every morning, and we connect with a knowledge, an understanding, a viewpoint that is much bigger than what I'm cooking for dinner today or what's happening in the strategic planning inside my organization. And that is what brings me higher to a higher level, and therefore a more stable level, because it's not in the push and pull of the drama. More important than that is churning it, not just absorbing the points, but churning it. In morning class here, we hear from each person every morning. It takes us a half an hour to hear from every person. It takes a great deal of patience and love to hear from every person in our 14-person morning class. Every day we do that, and every day there's a jewel from somebody I hadn't expected. Every day there's a catalyst for me to think deeper on what I was thinking about. This churning, and especially in a collective, is an incredible tool for increasing your own anti-fragility, your own resilience. So that's one of the practices that I will share with you, and it's one of the known ones. The second one, of course, is to meditate. Second one, but the purpose of meditating, and we don't all get there in our meditation. We can sit and we can relax, and that's good, but I'd still be in my body. I actually have to practice detaching from my story. I have to be beyond the Judy, the daily Judy that I know. In order to become anti-fragile, that steps me up above myself and beyond myself. So that's number 2 practice. And number 3 practice is make friends with the drama of life. On a daily basis, am I looking for the benefit in every situation, especially those hard ones? If I'm just bouncing back from it, I'm not flourishing and I'm not becoming anti-fragile. I have to actually make friends with the drama of life. I have to look at it and see, what's the benefit in this happening right now? What virtue or power is it bringing out in me that I wasn't using enough, that I really can use more and I want to use more, right? What is it revealing to me about myself? What's it revealing about others? What's it revealing about what's needed at this time? Basically, I become such a student of life, and I watch the drama and I make friends with it. Okay, I know I can see I need to move on here. So, and we heard this week in one of our classes. Rehearsals continue in order to show us where we're strong. So I will end there. Om Shanti. And let you manage the end. But I have these blessings for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sister Judy. I'm sure your throat will calm down because we want you to take us through the end. Beautiful blessings, beautiful flowers we all are seeing, and very empowering session, very, very empowering session, because you broke it down to methods and given us even the method practice. Because I think the question was coming, like you said, when you realized you grown, but I think again, realizing to transforming or applying, breaking out of that old habit, the neuro pathway you said, I mean, the habit. No, I realized I shouldn't do it, but transforming it needs a great practice. If anything you can add to that, maybe now or later, that would be great.
Yeah, training it is such a good point, Anu, because somebody said here the other day, if you want to know how wise you are in a moment where you're reflecting on a mistake you made, look back and ask yourself, for me to be a better person, the best person I could be, what would I do differently in that situation? And recognize in that instant, you know the answer. You automatically know the answer. The wisdom's there. I may not have the power to do it. And that's where the catch is. I know what to do. I don't always have the power. So that's why the practices are so necessary for the anti-fragility, right? Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Sister Judy. And I think if you can, we will definitely ask you to take us through a few minutes of meditation. But if I can take a minute before that to announce.
Can I
yeah,
talk
also
to?
after that, Sister Claudia. Yes, sister, I'll just quickly announce because after listening to today's class, I'm sure when we'll implement some methods, we'll go to peace, we'll experience peace within us. Our next session in the Values for Life series is next week, 17th of September, 8 p.m. India. That's, for us, 7:30 West Coast. So please see. Is peace, for which we'll have our senior sister Vedanti Didi joining from Africa. She's the director of Brahma Kumaris. So please come and join and see how the spiritual power of peace we can take forward into our life. And as we always do, the workshop following would be on peace, and we'll have Sister Moira to take us through again the churning of peace. And that would be, of course, 24th after a week. And we always have a silence retreat at the end of the month. So this time it would be again on peace. So next 3 programs will be on peace. And this is our calendar we share in the emails, but please check our websites and YouTube channels for the videos, even today's videos and more. And you'll be receiving from Values for Life series email the review materials. You can also get the workshops videos on these links. So I hope you all have it. So thank you so much. Now, without delay, we'll ask Sister Judy.
Before I go ahead, can you please fix Portuguese? They are not able to translate. Before she goes for the meditation, please check the Portuguese, because Manuel is saying is not able to translate.
So maybe my little brother was disconnected. Okay, so I'll check.
Yeah. Okay, Judy, it's so nice to have you with us today. And I knew that you were going to be, because I know your resilience for a long time, we know each other. And when this point came, I said, well, she's going to be the best, not the best, but a good one, because I know how you are resilient and how much when you teach, you can teach the practical part, because we have a very nice, with Sister Denise, was very nice and deep. Now you come and show us how to put into practice whatever she said. So that's why it was so, so nice. And actually, when I see the way how I look myself into resilience, I did not know where was my level. So I thought, oh, I'm not too bad, because I think the drama I learned for my life. Drama is always accurate, everything we have to go, because otherwise, if you try to go against drama, drama comes very strong against us, so it doesn't work.
we just have to let go and then go. So, but it was very nice to see all the different levels of resilience. And thank you so much for sharing with us. I am sure everybody really enjoyed it. And thank you for being with us, even the last moment when we call you and you say Haji. Okay, good. So it was so nice. Yeah. So nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia, for the invite, and thank you for the great faith you have in your sister. We have great faith in each other. So it's lovely. Thank you for this and for the service you're doing, this beautiful service. So I think to end, somebody has asked for the daily chart. I will send, because we make them in 4-month slots. We have September, October, November, December, and we just started the September one. I will send to Anu. And then if anybody wants it, please send to this email, that Anu has sent to you for this whole series. And then anybody who wants it, you can have it. We actually print them at the print shop, coil bound, and we have a skinny book next to our bed. There's 10 of us in the chart group here in Halifax, because we know if it's not by my bed and it's not printed, we won't do it. So we have it there.
That's a good idea.
I will send it. I will send it to you, Anu, if that's okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, so let's end with a little meditation, which will also include your blessing. So here we go. So let's all just come into a quiet state of soul consciousness. And we're going to feel ourselves as the blossoming flower that we are. So, and take your eyes away from the screen just for a moment. Close your eyes. Bring yourself back inside yourself. The awareness of the wise, brilliant being that you are behind the eyes. You know you're being nourished by this session every day by the spiritual wisdom and by God directly, and that you are blossoming right here, right now. And sometimes the bud is a little tight and sometimes it's wide open, but I continue to blossom bit by bit in my spiritual journey. So I'd like you to look at these flowers that are some of the world's most resilient flowers because they're in South Africa. And I'd like you just to pick one that you like, one that draws your attention today. And this will be your resilience blessing. I sure hope I have all of them. Here we go. So I'll just read them aloud. Those who picked this one, you flourish with generosity of spirit, making space for others to change and relieving your own heart of the burden of expectation. Those who picked this flower, you flourish with courage in your heart to speak with gentle honesty and act with integrity in all you do. Those who picked this flower, you flourish because your golden heart is filled with recognition of the value of others. Those who picked this flower, you flourish as a special soul who speaks with such sincerity that your words can penetrate closed ears and unlock broken hearts. And this flower, you flourish with a deep-rooted sense of dignity, which seeks to make things right rather than prove others wrong. And for this flower, you flourish because your loyalty to positive outcomes attracts the cooperation and trust of those with whom you work. I think this is last. You flourish because you have become a true friend to yourself and a source of support in the lives of others. Om Shanti, flowers. Enjoy a beautiful day.
Thank you, Judy sister. We'll take a picture, by the way. We got our blessings. We can
Okay.
show our blossomed face.
Great.
Everyone, open
Perfect.
your, yeah, switch on your videos.
Oh, there's Melanie. Hello, Melanie. Look at so many. Ah, Micheline, Om Shanti.
Yeah.
Carol, thank you. That Carol's encouraging me to drink water. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. So sweet. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, Judy sister. Everyone.
Om Shanti. Bye.
Bye.